It is May 3rd, 2016. Clash Royale had been out for just a few months, and players were getting comfortable with how the game worked. Troops walked across the bridge, buildings stayed on your side, spells hit their targets and disappeared. Everyone understood the rules. Then Supercell released the miner, and those rules stopped mattering. This legendary troop could tunnel underground and emerge anywhere on the battlefield. The game had never seen anything like it. What made the design even stranger was how Supercell categorized him. He was a troop with health and attacks, but he had spell-like properties. The moment he surfaced next to a tower, he was already hitting it. No walking, no delay. And his damage to towers was reduced from the start, exactly like spells work. He existed in this weird space between two categories. Supercell wanted a troop that could do what spells did, taking out key targets and applying pressure, but stick around afterward. A persistent spell. That was the miner's entire design philosophy. Those early weeks were confusing. The card was legendary, which meant most players couldn't get one. No tournament standard existed yet, so the few people who pulled a miner were using a level 1 legendary against maxed commons on ladder. About 13% of top players ran him, but the sample size was too small to mean much. The players who had access started experimenting immediately. Princess dominated the meta back then, sitting at the bridge and chipping towers. The standard counter was arrows or log. You'd spend 2 or 3 elixir, she'd die, and that was it. Your opponent would just play another princess later. Miner changed everything. Send him to the princess, he'd take her out, then keep moving toward the tower. Your opponent had to respond. They had to spend elixir. You weren't trading evenly anymore. You were getting value and pressure from one card. Elixir pump was the other major target. Pump was everywhere, because generating extra elixir over time was incredibly powerful. The counter was big spells like lightning or rocket. 6 elixir to destroy a 6 elixir building. Even trade. Miner cost 3 elixir, destroyed the pump, and became a threat. The math worked better. Players built entire strategies around this. Pair the miner with goblins right after he lands, and your opponent faces 2 problems at once. Minion Horde worked even better because it flew and dealt massive damage if ignored. The miner created defensive situations where something was always getting through. Then something weird happened. 3 weeks after release, Supercell buffed the miner's health by 6%. The community was confused. The card was already showing up constantly at top ladder. It didn't need help. 2 months later in July, they reduced his deploy time from 1 second to 0.7. This made him harder to react to, harder to predict. Your opponent had less time to see where he was going and counter. The miner went from strong to oppressive. Years later, someone from the balance team admitted that deploy time change was a mistake. They didn't mean to buff it, an accident that made it into the live game. Then, in August 2016, Supercell reverted both changes. Deploy time went back to 1 second, and the health buff got removed. But by then, the miner had already established himself in the meta. June of 2016, the use rate was 20%. By August, that number shot up to 50. 3 musketeers became dominant because the miner could tank for them or snipe support troops. Poison was everywhere, and miner poison turned into this brutally efficient combination. Furnace decks created pressure on both lanes. Fire spirits marching down one side, miner threatening the other. Lava Hound players discovered that having a secondary win condition they could deploy anywhere solved most problems. Send the Hound down one lane, miner the opposite tower. Force impossible defensive choices. The miner wasn't just good, he was warping how people built decks. If you weren't running him, you needed a specific reason why not. He'd become the default 3 elixir slot for aggressive strategies. But the story takes its first turn here. Supercell reworked poison later that year, removing the slow effect. The slow was what let you drop poison on a tower, send the miner, and prevent anything from reaching him. Without it, defenders could actually respond. Then, elixir pump got nerfed. Less elixir generated meant fewer decks ran it, which meant one of the miner's primary targets vanished. Princess got hit with nerfs too. The cards that justified running miner were disappearing. December 2016 brought elite barbarians, and Supercell buffed them into absolute insanity. The entire meta shifted overnight. Giant Graveyard became dominant because it could handle elite barbs. Everything else fell away. The miner crashed, 50% use rate down to 3% by January 2017. After dominating for 6 months, he'd seemingly vanished from competitive play. Ladder players at the top weren't touching him, except he hadn't actually become bad. The miner didn't get worse. The meta just moved to strategies where he didn't fit as well. In challenges where card levels didn't matter, skilled players were still winning with him. The core design remained strong. 2017 proved that massively. The miner didn't just come back, he evolved. He appeared in archetypes that shouldn't have worked and made all of it function. Giant Miner threatened both lanes with beatdown pressure. 3 Musketeers plus Miner let you split your Musketeers and create 3 separate threats. Miner Poison made a comeback when Poison got buffed again. Then Control players started using Miner as their only win condition. 2.9 Miner Control and 3.0 Miner Control became real archetypes. The strategy was defend perfectly, generate tiny elixir advantages, and chip the tower with repeated Miner placements. It required incredible skill. Miss one one defense, and you'd lose. But in the right hands, these decks were almost unbeatable. When bats got added, Miner received another massive boost. 2 elixir bats plus 3 elixir Miner equaled devastating offense. If your opponent didn't have the right spell in hand, that tower was taking huge damage. Battle Ram became meta, which strengthened 3 Musketeers decks, which meant more Miner usage. Mega Knight got released, immediately became top tier, and paired perfectly with Miner and bats. The meta kept shifting, and the Miner kept finding new homes. Late 2017 brought Skeleton Barrel buffs and Royal Ghost's release. Royal Ghost was completely broken on arrival. Mega Knight Zap 8 dominated competitive play, and sitting right in the middle was the Miner. Use rate climbed to 39%. This is where you'd expect nerfs. Any other card that had been top tier this long that showed up in this many archetypes would have been nerfed. Supercell had crushed other dominant cards. Elite Barbarians, Night Witch, Executioner, but they left the Miner alone. Month after month, balance update after balance update, the Miner sailed through untouched. The community noticed, but here's the twist. They didn't care. The Miner never felt unfair. He was strong, but playing against him didn't make you want to uninstall. He dealt low damage per hit. Any ground troop could counter him. Knight, Valkyrie, Mini P.E.K.K.A., even skeletons. You had options. The skill requirement mattered too. You couldn't just drop Miner randomly and win. You had to predict opponent placements. You had to manage elixir carefully. You had to know matchups, understand timing. Bad players with the Miner lost to good players without him. That made him feel fair even when he was winning. Overleveling was a factor too. Ladder was brutal for card levels. Commons and rares reached max level way before legendaries. Most casual players fought against level 1 or 2 Miners with their maxed commons. He didn't feel oppressive to the majority because their cards were usually higher level. But the biggest reason was uniqueness. No other card did what the Miner did. Zero competition in his niche. When Supercell nerfed other dominant cards, they'd tell players to use something else. But there was no alternative to the Miner. He was irreplaceable, so his power level got accepted as part of how the game worked. 2018 rolled around. Miner stayed between 15 and 25% use rate. Supercell didn't touch his stats once in 2018. An entire year with zero balance changes to one of the most consistently used cards. July 2019 brought a tiny range tweak that nobody noticed. The change was meaningless. Bridge spam ran him, spell bait ran him, beatdown ran him, control ran him. The Miner was everywhere, had been everywhere for years, and Supercell kept letting it happen. October 2019 broke everything. Supercell buffed wall breakers and they became completely overpowered. At the same time, they reworked Witch and made her even more broken. The meta collapsed into chaos. Competitive players were furious. The subreddit was on fire. Poison usage skyrocketed because it was one of the few spells handling both threats. Paired perfectly with poison was the Miner. Paired perfectly with wall breakers was also the Miner. Miner plus wall breakers plus poison became the deck to beat. Use rate shot to 35 to 40%. In the middle of one of the most hated metas ever, the Miner was thriving. Supercell Emergency nerfed wall breakers and Witch. And finally, after 4 straight years of being top tier, they did something about the Miner. March 2020. Crown Tower damage reduced from 40% to 35%. The first real nerf ever. Players waited to see what would happen. Nothing happened. Use rate barely moved. He was still the most used troop. 5% less tower damage wasn't enough to matter. The utility was too valuable. August 2020, Supercell tried again. Crown Tower damage down to 30%. Now the Miner dealt the same reduced damage to towers that spells did. This was more significant. This time, it did something. Miner control died. Those decks relying entirely on chipping the tower stopped working. He shifted from primary win condition to secondary pressure card. You'd use him for utility and chip, but you needed something else to close games. He was still top tier though. The nerf pushed him from mandatory to just really good. But the community's reaction wasn't what you'd expect. After watching the Miner dominate for 4 years, after watching Supercell ignore him through dozens of balance updates, players were frustrated. The frustration wasn't really about the Miner himself. It was about Supercell's balance philosophy, about how they decided what to change and what to leave alone. This is where the meme was born. Someone posted nerf Miner as a joke after a balance update that nerfed different cards. It caught on immediately. Players started commenting it on every balance discussion. Wallbreakers too strong, nerf Miner. Electro Giant broken, nerf Miner. Mega Knight oppressive, nerf Miner. The joke was that the Miner had avoided nerfs for so long while deserving them that everything was his fault. Every balance problem traced back to not nerfing the Miner. It was absurd, funny, and tapped into real frustration. The meme spread beyond Reddit. Twitter picked it up. YouTube creators put it in videos. TikTok accounts made content about it. The phrase became shorthand for Supercell's balance team being out of touch. Then it jumped to the real world. Someone spray painted printed Nerf miner on a wall and posted a picture. Others did the same in their cities. It showed up on stickers, shirts, signs at events. The meme had transcended the game completely. What's funny is that by the time Nerf miner became huge in 2021 and 2022, the miner had already been nerfed twice. The meme wasn't about the current state. It was about the history, about 4 years of being untouchable. The miner himself kept being good through all of this. Phoenix and Monk released and dominated. When they got emergency nerf, the miner filled the gaps. Goblins and archers received buffs that helped miner decks. Rocket got nerfed, pushing players toward poison, which meant miner poison came back. April 2023 brought another nerf. Crown tower damage down to 25%. A maxed miner in 2023 now did the same tower damage as a level 1 miner in 2016. 7 years of nerfs had completely erased any tower damage advantage from leveling. And even after that, the miner didn't disappear. Current use rate sits around 17 to 20%. He's still one of the most used cards, still showing up in multiple archetypes, still adapting. Balloon miner still works. Mega Knight Zap Bait still runs him. Mortar miner shows up when siege is viable. He's not dominating anymore. He's not warping the meta, but he's never irrelevant. Looking back at almost 8 years, the miner's story reveals something about game design. He's strong because his core concept is strong. Deploying a troop anywhere will always have value. That's not something you can nerf away without completely changing what the card does. You can reduce his damage, increase his cost, change his stats, but as long as he can appear anywhere, he'll be useful. The real plot twist is that the community was right to meme about not nerfing the miner, but for the wrong reasons. He should have been nerfed earlier, but not because he was breaking the game, because he was too safe. He dominated for 4 years without anyone really caring, which meant he was occupying design space that could have been more dynamic. The meme captured real frustration about balance philosophy, but the problem wasn't that the miner was overpowered. It was that being overpowered didn't matter if players didn't mind. The miner proved you can be strong without being hated. You can be meta without warping the game. You can survive years of changes without becoming obsolete. His story is about how good design and community perception matter just as much as raw power level. He's this rare example of a card that broke the rules, stayed broken for years, and everyone just accepted it because it felt fair. The miner isn't just a card. He's proof that sometimes the best design is the one that bends the rules, but never quite breaks them. And based on 8 years of evidence, he's going to keep bending those rules for as long as Clash Royale exists.